Hey, welcome back to Skuttz Draws. So, you're curious what it's like to do commissions for a living. Or maybe you're wanting to start taking commissions and you wonder what it might be like. Either way, you've come to the right place. I've spent the last 10 years going through it, learning firsthand just what it required to sell my skills as a freelance artist, and finding out what it really takes to do this for a job. It can be tough, but the pros of this career path are worth the cons to me. And at the end of the video, I'll even tell you what I really think is the key to being successful at commission work and what makes it invaluable to me. Alright, before we get into it, let's take a quick look at what I'm working on in this time lapse. This is a rare piece of personal art, depicting the celebration of some gameplay. This is Molly the Ninetails. My Twitch chat named her, and she carried me butt through a Nuzlocke, and that's a story for another time. But the important thing about Molly here is that I caught her as a Vulpix, and I evolved her into a Ninetails. Since those were some of my favorite Pokemon since childhood, I figured I would take the time to paint something, and she was a test to see just how my digital painting skills were going if I did apply myself. So let's take a look at how that went while I tell you about the life of a freelance artist. Pro, my art has value. One of the coolest things just has to be that people want my art. There is a page in my sketchbook that's worth $150. It's magic, because to anybody else, it's just another page in my sketchbook. It is just pen and ink on some paper, but it's worth $150 to me and split between the commissioners whose characters I drew on that page. It feels like magic to be able to turn nothing into something, but I've spent years cultivating a commission base, honing my art skills, and building my reputation to get to the point that I can create tangible value with my hands. And I think that's incredible. Doing character sheets and helping design and create new OCs is one of my favorite ways to lend my creative abilities to those who can't draw their ideas themselves. Where there was nothing, I make art that's uniquely mine, and I get paid to do it. Pro number 2. Almost everyone knows the pain of commuting to work. Traffic, construction, car troubles, maintenance. Some folks learn during the pando, as well as the ones trying to keep their remote jobs currently. Not having a commute is a huge deal. I deal with chronic issues, so not having to deal with the additional time, cost, and effort of a daily commute means more energy for other things around the house or to try and redelegate into work or rest. If I can move around that day, I can get to work. I don't have the additional weight of car struggles or travel in my way, which is why, lastly, the final reason I freelance is so that I'm able to flex with myself and work what hours work for me. My commissioners understand that I'm human and that sometimes there will be delays. I can rest on my sick days, and I get to enjoy what I do when I work my ass off on the good days. I've also got the ability to shift my schedule a bit if I'd like to catch up with an old friend or make a doctor's appointment. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are a lot of tough parts. Like that it comes with the trade-off of skipping many more get-togethers than I ever make because I need to get caught up on work. My social life is the first thing to take a hit. I can't go hang out with friends, I have to skip visiting my parents, or I have to postpone plans that aren't vital. If I'm behind, I have to draw as much as my body is able to. Next up, you have to wear all the hats and do all of the things. Freelancing means that you are your own social media manager, you're the talent, the artist, the editor, the thumbnail artist, and it's all while you have to think of ways to get your art out there and seen. You have to find ways to have value that others will seek. Oh, and if your setup isn't working, right, grab that IT hat, buddy, let's go. If your stuff isn't working, you can't either, so you better fix it fast. You're the nice boss, you're the mean boss, and you're the sobbing employee all in one. Don't like that social media hat? Well, you need to network somehow. As a freelance artist, one of the downsides is that you mostly have to source your own work. With a typical day job, your work comes to you. You go down to the place of employment and your boss has tasks for you to do, and then you go home. But in this rodeo, you have to be proactive. Work will not passively come to you in most cases, or you will need to work on getting to the point that you get enough notoriety that people seek you out. And even in that case, the effort must be made so that you can get paid. And that rhymes, so, it has to be true. If you're enjoying this peek behind the curtains, hit the like button before we get deeper into the muck. It'll tell YouTube that this is useful and help more folks find the video. Alright, let's just cut to this one. Self-employment tax has to be one of the worst parts. I live in the US and tax season is a nightmare. Things feel vague and confusing, and just starting out, it's hard to find resources to understand how to also be your own accountant. Yet another hat you gotta wear. Now, I'm not so worried about it. Going on to my 5th year making a taxable income, I'm confident in the process. It's just a chore now, but it's a chore I see as a badge of honor that I make enough money off my art that I have to pay a cut. It doesn't do a lot to dull the sting, but it does let me throw it in the face of anyone who tries to say that art isn't a real job. It's not a real job, Karen. Why does the government want my money? Sorry to the non-Karens named Karen out there. Now for the big, ugly fact. It's that I have to make a ton of sacrifices because the nature of drawing for money means if I'm not drawing, there is no income. I don't have paid time off. If I get sick or injured, I have to work harder when I feel better and hope that I have something tucked in savings. If I want to go on a vacation with family, I have to front load work before the trip or afterwards. Most of the time, when family flew me across country to visit, and I can't bring my big tablet with me and risk it breaking, I took on some traditional work to do while I was there. The last visit I had to my in-laws was nice, but while we were sitting and visiting at night, I was working in my sketchbook on that aforementioned page of sketches. I drew that page on vacation because I still had bills to pay. It's nice because I can, but the internal guilt of feeling like I should always be working if I'm able to do so is insane. With my chronic illness, I never know how long I've got to work, so I have to make the most of it. That's without throwing in any major life events, like I went through a breakup and my father-in-law passed away earlier this year. I still had to try and work offline, even if I couldn't put on a face to stream. Chaotic things like moving, breakups, or going through loss makes it really hard to tap into that creative side of myself. And yet, if I don't, then I won't make my bills that month. So I really have to wrangle myself to fight art block and get back on the ball as soon as I can, even if I'm grieving, which can be really difficult. All this has led to me breaking and fixing my work-life balance multiple times already, and for me personally, it's just something that always needs revisiting. I usually count drawing as work, and making new avatars or upgrading my streams into my free time at night. Balancing things like this YouTube channel to help bring in some passive income and take some of the strain and stress off of my wrist can help. However, putting energy into scripting and recording these videos is time I'm not putting towards commission art. So it's hard to gain the passive income without sacrificing a lot of my downtime to try to get there. Otherwise, it gives my wrist a break, but it's not producing me any current value. Hey, unless you want to check the links below for ways to support my endeavor to share what I know. But sometimes I work 10-hour days because I never stop working. I just do different kinds of work. There's a lot of stuff to be done and only one of me. So unless you make it big enough to hire editors or additional help, all that's a climb on its own, while you're also trying to balance your life as a freelance artist. And you, as a freelancer, if you don't do it yourself, it doesn't get done. Alright, so that sounds like a lot of garbage. Why even do it then? Wouldn't it be easier to take a regular job? Yeah, it would be more straightforward and steady. There are many artists who try to make a go at freelance art and they go back to a 9-to-5 and keep art as their hobby, and that's okay too. Not everyone is cut out for this, you know? If I could keep a 9-to-5, I might, but I can't. So, is the biggest bonus really worth it? Absolutely. I saved my favorite for last. You gotta end on a fun note after looking at all the icky parts that keep the fun bits running. My favorite thing, satisfaction. I used to have a very rigid job. Now, using my creative flow to produce my artwork to sell is difficult in its own right, but I feel so fulfilled by my work. I bring joy to the world, one art piece at a time, and the hope with my YouTube channel is to keep spreading my work and help encourage and inspire others to create as well. The fact that I can make something and it's treasured. Sometimes people print it out and hang it up on their walls to be displayed. Heck, I even worked with somebody and my art's being handed out at conventions. My art feels real in the world, and it just has me amazed that it came from my head, heart, and hands. Art is my passion, and it's incredible to be doing something that I'm passionate about. So, speaking of passions, let's see how my passion for digital painting is going here. I would guesstimate I probably put about 30 to 40 hours in painting Molly. It looks so good that I only imagine if I'd spent even more time on it that she would look even better, but I have to call it done somewhere. It was fun to see how far I could push a painting, and I just want to keep pushing my digital painting skills further and further. Who knows, maybe one day my art will be in a game or on a magic card. Alright, if you enjoyed hearing about the underside of the log and looking at all the bugs and fungi that are the oddities and joys of self-employment of the artistic twist, then subscribe to keep sharing in the joy. My next videos will be talking about how to price your art and how to find your first commissions, so stay tuned. Till then, here's a playlist of my time lapses. It means the world to me if you made it this far in the video, so take care. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! And I would like to dedicate this video in loving memory of my father-in-law. I had no idea that was the last time I'd get to see him, and I'm grateful for the times I was able to make my schedule work to visit family through the years. Thanks to that, I have memories to hold close to my heart, and it's just another reason why what I do means so much to me.